Hey guys, and welcome to today's video in which we are going to see how we can create clothing for stylized game characters. Now for this video I'm actually going to use a model that's not mine. This is a model from Eremos 3D, who is a really wonderful tutor. So if you haven't seen any of his videos on YouTube, I will leave a link on the site as well as in the description of the video, so you can go over there, check him out, and also get the link to download the object or the model which I'm going to use for my video. Alright, so once we get that out of the way, I've cleaned up Marmoset, or I've cleaned up Marvelous Designer. So now all I have to do is import an OBJ, and from here, once you download the object, you're gonna have this file. So I've opened it up in 3ds Max. I've stripped it naked, because it has some accessories with it, and once all of them are removed, you are basically left with this naked model. So as you can see, we have quite a stylized character in the form of this pigman. So let's start from the beginning and try to make a nice pair of pants for our pigman or our Mr. Piggy. Now here's the interesting part. If this was a normal character, like a normal humanoid that didn't have this huge belly and had like slimmer legs, this would be a much more straightforward job. But since he's a bit of stylized, has this big belly, plus he has these big legs, now we're gonna have to start and go piece by piece and piece it together. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I need to define where my waist is gonna be for this guy. So for that, I'm gonna create this single strip for a belt. So like this, I'm gonna move it down into position underneath the belly, like this. And now I'm gonna go Control C and then right click and do a symmetric paste and put it on this side. The reason for this is once it's a symmetric paste, that's basically like you're using not a copy, but an instance. So whatever I change to this side will be changed on the other side as well. Not very important for our bust here for the belt, but you'll see that it can be quite helpful later on. So for now, I just want to add this, get it closer to the back, lift it up a tiny bit, and now you're going to see that this side is more wider while the other one is gray. That means that it's flipped. The normals are flipped, so I'm just going to go ahead and flip horizontally. There you go. Now the white is on the back, which means everything is fine. So all we got to do now is sew all of these parts together. So something like this for the front and the back, and go over to this side, and then from this side to this side. Alright, as soon as everything is finished, press the spacebar to do or start the simulation. Alright, now depending on how big the belt cloth is, you might have to pick it up a bit. But one of the great things about using Marvelous Designer is that basically you can move the cloth as if it's on an actual mannequin. Alright, this is fine. So for now, what I'm going to do here is I want to make one more fabric. So on this side, I'm going to press this button where it says Add. This is going to add just another fabric, and this fabric I'm just going to call it belt, and I'm going to change the color to something so it can be more distinguishable, something like this red. And just so I know, I'm going to select all of these guys and apply that color to it. Now While I'm in here in the preset, I'm gonna make sure that it's a cotton preset. Now that's going to affect how the simulation are gonna be done for our model. All right, so now that we got the middle part or the belt out of the way, it's time to start building up the leggings. So I'm gonna click here and drag a piece like this. So now for this, I'm gonna go ahead and assign the default fabric to it. And here I'm gonna just go Control C so I can copy it, right click and a symmetric paste over here. In this case, it will be useful to have this, as I intend to do quite a bit of changes to these, to the form of this polygon. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is go over here where it says add point and just add 1 point about somewhere around here. And then move this like so. So we have this, and with this added curvature, click and drag it inwards like this. So this is more or less the place for the ties of our character. And now I'm gonna go and weld these two together like this. But before I simulate, I want to select the whole thing again and Control C, Control V, one more copy on this side, and use it for the back. All right, now let's just put it into position. Right click and flip horizontally like this. And now just sew this part to this one and this one to this one. Just make sure that when you're sewing all those parts together, all of these lines are straight and they're not something like, for example, if you have something like this, that's a bit of a problem because you're gonna get some problems with the simulation. So if this happens, all you gotta do is go over here, right click, just select this, right click and reverse sewing. That is going to get it right. All right, so I'm gonna simulate this and see how it goes. Okay. Right away I can see that I'm gonna need to have some changes done, but it's a start. So let's sew these two together on this side and do the same thing for this one as well, like this. Okay. So now the first thing that I'm noticing is that Mr. Piggy has quite the butt. So he needs some more cloth on the back for clearance. So let's move this to the side and click, hold down Shift and drag it downwards so we have a bit more cloth to play with. And do the same thing with the front and resimulate again till we have something like this, which is okay. Now the other problem that I'm seeing is that more or less I need to get this part sewn to this part and this part sewn to the back. So let's do it. I'm going to select this portion here and get it to this side. Yep, that's right. And get this one to this side. Resimulate. And now what I'm noticing is a bit of a problem because with all the stretching, I have a lot of tension on my model, which can be seen if I go over to the tension or the strain map like this. You can see that all of this cloth is under a large amount of stress, which is making it so it's losing its form. So what I can do here is just pull it a bit to the side. Yeah. There we go. Until it kind of goes out. But the problem here is, I'm going to go Control Z. The problem here is not the strain, but it's the size of the cloth. For example, since he's got these big ties, we need to have a bit more cloth to work with. So now let's redo the whole simulation, and we can see that now it's forming up rather well around the legs. All right, now let's go ahead and stitch these two together, so the front and the back. And now they formed up just like pants would naturally. All right, so we have the first step, which is giving our Mr. Piggy his short pants. All right, so since we already have the short pants, now let's see how we can modify this a bit. What I want to do is I don't want him to have these skin tight pants, because if you want to have just skin tight pants like these, you can just go ahead and do that really easily in ZBrush, in which you're going to just mask out the portion of the model that you need, and you can extract it. We want to have a more of a pants look, so we want to have something to work with, some wrinkles. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the size of the back side here. So I'm going to increase this, resimulate again, and now we have some clearance in the back like this. All right, now I'm going to move this up a bit as well. Now move it downwards. Okay. And let's see if this is going to look better if we give it a bit more space here. There we go. All right, so it's just natural. If you have more cloth, it's going to be more wrinkly. All right, and since we want to have this to be longer, I'm going to click, hold on Shift, and drag it downwards. We'll do the same thing for this. Resimulate. And now it's kind of okay from the back, but the front is, well, it's a tad bit too big. So I'm going to reduce the size of the front, which is going to make it more tighter. I'm going to reduce the size here as well. All right. All right, just get it a bit more wrinkly here. And now I'm getting these types of pants. I'm not actually too happy with this. So, yeah, this is more like it. All right, so we get some wrinkling starting here. And now what I want to do here is I want to get it to be a bit more stylized. What I mean by this is I want to make it to look as if this character can be used in a game to give it a bit more, how do I say this? A bit more comical approach. For that, I want to go ahead and cover up his pig feet. So for that, I'm just gonna go ahead and add one more piece of cloth over here. Make sure it's bigger than this. And now I'm gonna move it upwards to about here. Control C, right click, symmetric paste. Put it on this side. Actually, we put it in the back like this. Right click and flip horizontally. And now what I want to do is I want to saw this part to this one to the, well, actually, nope. That one would go to this one. Yes. And these two are going to be sewn together. And I'm going to resimulate. Now, since this piece of cloth is bigger than this size, we're going to get it to start wrinkling like this. Alright, now just make it a tiny bit smaller because we really don't want it to have it to the ground. Like this. And there we go. Mr. Piggy is starting to get some style into it. Okay. Let's see. Let's do the same exact thing for the other leg as well. So Control C, Control V. Move it into position like so. Move this over here. Move that over here. And now just reconnect this piece to this side. Like so. And the other one to this one. In this case, I can see I have it flipped. So like I told you previously, select, right click and reverse sewing, resimulate, and we have this kind of a look. Kind of looks funny, but it might work. Kind of gives that 80s vibe. Alright, so once we have everything done, what I want to do is select everything, all of the pieces over here, and in here where it says particle distance, I'm going to decrease it down to 10, which in turn is going to allow me to get a bit more well-defined wrinkles in my model. So let me just pull it outwards. I'm actually not all too happy with this part, so let's try and change this and give it a tiny bit more room to play with. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and add an additional point over here. There we go. This should give us a bit more fabric. Alright, until I get everything in check, I'm going to reduce the particle distance back to 20 so it goes a tiny bit faster. Alright. There we go. Let's just change this a tiny bit, like that. Or actually the other way, so we get a bit more cloth. And there we go. Now he's got these nice baggy pants. Pull it upwards like this. And now let's simply go ahead, reselect everything like we did previously, and change the particle distance back to 10. And simulate. Let it drop for a second. Now, depending on how powerful of a computer you have, you can go even lower if you wish to, but just take into account that you're gonna have to wait considerably longer times when you go lower than 10. But in turn, you will get better results. Alright, so I'm gonna stop it here. And more or less, this is the kind of pants we got so far. So by using the Marvelous Designer approach to making these pants, we actually got this model to look like proper pants would, and all of these wrinkles are looking realistic because they have been done by simulating the actual cloth. Now, if we went ahead and did this in ZBrush, we would have to spend considerable amount of time adding manually all of these wrinkles, and it probably wouldn't look as good as this. So for the end, I can just go ahead and apply one fabric for everything. The color can be the same. I can use a cotton and add it to everything. This way, once it's simulated, it is going to behave like cotton would. Now, as you can see, we got all of these extra details in here in the cloth. Here's in the back, in the front, even in the legs. So we get a lot more details. Alright, so if you guys enjoyed watching this video, then don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, as it really does help a lot. And then come back and see the rest of the videos where we're gonna continue and dress up Mr. Piggy and try to make him look good. So I'll see y'all in the next video.